Hello and welcome back to Champions and Beyond. My name is Martin, and in today's video we are going to have a look at ways to tweak a pre-constructed deck. Now, I've seen within the community on a fairly regular basis people worrying about getting into deck building, worrying about whether or not it will be too complicated or any of that kind of thing. So I'm planning on doing this video to show kind of a first step into deck building for a lot of people. Now, for this video we are going to use Domino with her new pre-constructed deck, and one way that I've always suggested to people who want to start getting into the deck building side is to take a pre-constructed deck, cut out the excess chaff and that sort of thing, the likes of upgrades that are max 1 per player that you don't necessarily need 3 copies of within a deck, and other cards that just don't synergize the way that you want them to for a particular hero. Take those out, get some cards to replace them, slot those ones in, and take the deck from there. Now, for Domino, I think she has some very good cards for multiplayer, but we are going to build this as a solo deck, or a more solo focused deck, should we say. But we are going to aim to keep as much of her mechanics and her flavour as possible within the deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this. I'm going to pull out some cards that I think we can take out of the deck, and I'll come back to explain what we're going to take out, why we're going to take it out, and then we'll go into some cards that we can replace it with. Okay, so I had a quick look through the Domino pre-constructed deck. Now, Domino does have a very good pre-constructed deck, but I think for the purposes of this video we're going to actually strip out 8 cards. So the first one is going to be 1 copy of Sharpshooter. Now, this is 1 per player, but to get this out along with her pistols is how we're going to plan to do the maximum amount of damage we can. So we're going to leave 2 in, just so that we've got a bit more chance to get it and get it played. You could take out the second copy, just leave 1 in. It does mean that you only really have the 1 chance per deck pass to find it and to play it. So that's why we're going to leave 2 in, but we are taking 1 out. The next card we're going to take out is again a single copy, and it's going to be Overwatch. Now, Overwatch is a fantastic card, very useful in multiplayer when you're going to have more schemes out. Now, we have left the player side schemes in, so there are going to be side schemes going out, and this will be useful, but I think more than 2 is a little bit overkill. Chances are we're going to have these out whenever they come to our hand, but 3 is maybe a little bit too much. We are then going to take out all 3 copies of Team Investigation. Now, better multiplayer card, but for solo especially, 2 costs to remove 3 threat. There is one particular card that comes to mind that does it better, and you'll see that when I replace. I'm sure some of you will already realise which card I'm going to replace these with, but all three of those are going to go for this deck for it to be more of a solo build. The next three, the three copies of Even the Odds. Now, Even the Odds is definitely better in multiplayer. You remove more threat from each scheme, and in multiplayer you're more likely to have more schemes out there. For solo, this is removing one threat from every scheme in play. Although it could be useful, I still believe that this is a better multiplayer card. Now, an honourable mention that I did tangle between cutting and leaving in were the 3 double resource cards, and I wondered whether or not taking these out and putting in the other Justice Wild cards would help with Domino's ability, but ultimately I decided that having 2 resources being discarded for her ability is just as useful as having an extra wild in there. These will help pay for the upgrades that we want to get out. So overall, I don't think we need to cut these, but as with deck building, once you do a first draft of your deck, you may well play it and decide that certain cards are more useful than others. These ones are definitely high up on the pile for later versions of this deck. Now, obviously, we have left a lot of the new cards in her deck. We've left all of the allies because all of them kind of key off her triggers, her discarding cards. And we really want to keep the flavour of the deck that was presented to us. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go away again. I'm going to get 8 new cards out, and we are going to replace these 8 with some different options. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so we've had a look through the collection of cards, and we have to replace the 8 that we've taken out. So first of all, as I said before, Team Investigation has a much more efficient version in 4 Justice. Now straight away, this is a 2 for 3, but you get the kicker. If you pay with a mental, you remove 4 threat instead. Now, this doesn't have the limit of only affecting side schemes, so it's a little bit more flexible, and for efficiency cost, this one just outpaces the other card, especially in solo. So straight away we're going to add 3 copies of 4 Justice. We did take a lot of Justice cards out, so we are going to use 2 copies of Clear the Area. Again, very good solo card. 1 cost, 2 threat removal. If it removes the last threat, you draw a card. Not really a lot else to say, but just very solid threat removal card, especially in solo. So we have 2 copies of those. We did end up putting in 1 copy of the Power of Justice. Now this 1 card will pay for the 4 Justices, or if it gets discarded for Domino's ability, it will count as 2 resources instead of just the 1, like a lot of the other cards will. Now, Domino does have a lot of resources already in her deck, and through playtesting, this would be another card that would be a possibility to replace, like the double resource cards, or using these instead of the double resource cards may be more useful as well, but that would have to come with playtesting several games and seeing what works and what doesn't work so well. Now, Domino has no resource generation within her kit, so we are adding in a copy of Death Focus. Now, it was a toss-up between Death Focus and the X Gene. The thing that Death Focus wins out on is that this will help pay for some of her upgrades as well as events, and the fact that Death Focus can be played in hero mode or alter ego mode, there's no limitation, whereas the X Gene could only be played while she is in alter ego. So again, we're going for a little bit more flexibility and the chance to get a resource generation card down to help pay for some of her events and upgrades as the game goes on. Now, we are going to add in the basic player side scheme from Cable, which is build support. This allows us to go and find a support card anywhere in our deck, and we are actually going to add a 9th card in for build support to go and find. So because build support allows you to get around anything that's trait locked, we are going to add in a copy of the X-Jet. Because Domino is X-Force rather than X-Men, usually you wouldn't be able to play the X-Jet, but putting in build support, getting rid of it, will allow us to go and find this and get it down as another resource generator, just helping us pay for more cards when we get into the later game. This will also then later on, although there are a lot of wilds in the deck, it guarantees a wild resource to help get the kicker for 4 justice. And one thing I want to say is, especially when you're starting out deck building, adding in an additional 1 or 2 cards isn't really that damaging. There is a little bit of a taboo with a lot of people. I'm not sure if it still is a lot of people anymore, but there definitely used to be a large amount of people that thought that a 40 card deck, anything above that was sacrilege, was just a bad deck build. But having the odd 1 or 2 extra cards, if they help synergize, if they help work, then there is no reason why you can't go, providing you don't go above 50, because obviously that's in the rules. But a 41 card deck will be absolutely fine for this purpose. Now, obviously, we could take away the Power of Justice and take it back down to a 40 card deck, but we are going to try with this deck first, and we are going to go up against Zola. Now, the reason I've chosen Zola, I have just played it for something off camera, and I've forgotten how much fun Zola can be. But as well as that, he will capture 2 of Domino's allies straight off the bat, because the Hydra Prison goes and finds all signature allies that are in players' decks. it will straight away take the 2 that Domino has. So let's get down to the table and let's see how this altered deck fares on. Okay, so we've done our setup. We have Outlaw and Diamondback under the Hydra Prison. We have the Ultimate Bioservant in play. So let's draw up first hand. Right place, right time's pretty good. Right, so we're going to keep everything. We're going to flip up. We're going to use a double to do right place, right time. Before we do that, sorry, we are going to flip. We're going to replace that one with that one. Card in our hand for the top of the deck. We are going to do right place, right time, so we discard the top card of the deck, which is our Jackpot. Hitting the Jackpot turn 1. We will get rid of the Hydra Prison and get our allies back to our hand. So, fantastic start there. We're going to shuffle Jackpot back into the deck. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of shuffling this game. Well, we hope anyway, but there we are. So we're going to use a double to play Diamondback. We're going to use 3 cards to play Outlaw. Outlaw is going to have a tough. We're going to first of all save on a bit of space. We're going to first of all use Diamondback. We are going to discard, dealing 1 damage. So we'll take the tough and hit him for 1. 1 damage onto her. Outlaw is then going to attack for 1, 2, 3, which will remove her tough, and then we will attack for 2 to get rid of the Bioservant. So I think that was a pretty good first turn. Managed to clear the decks. We draw up. Right, so we're going to add 1 threat onto the main scheme. We add the first counter. Zola is going to attack us. I think we're going to take the first one. So attacks for 1 and another 1. So we take 2 damage. Down to 7. We're going to get our encounter card, which will be an assault. So I think Diamondback is going to throw herself in the way of this one. So only hits for 1, which will take Diamondback out. But he does get a tough. So, on to our turn. So we're going to swap top card of the deck. We're going to use 2 to play the first of our pistols. Wrong token. 2 to do the first of our pistols. So we are going to attack and knock the tough off, which will deal a damage. We are going to fire our pistol to deal 3 damage. Another shuffle in, so that's 2 jackpots. Let's see if I can remember. Well, let's try and do a jackpot counter. So 2 jackpots. Now that attack has range, so we don't take the retaliate for that one. We will then attack with Outlaw for 2. And she will take a retaliate, so she takes her retaliate and her consequential. We will risk flipping down for a turn. And I think we're actually going to discard both cards. We need to dig a little bit deeper. We need to dig in deep to try and get some of the stuff we're actually after. So let's ready up. We are going to add a second threat on. Zola is going to scheme. Zola is going to scheme for 2 plus nothing. We got a little bit lucky there. We then get our encounter card, which is a caught off guard, so unfortunately we lose our pistol. So we're going to swap sharpshooter for the pistol. Bring that back to our hand. We are going to flip up. We are going to spend Power of Justice to do a 4 justice and clear the entirety of the threat of the main scheme. Once again, I'm missing the counters. We should have added a second counter. So we are going to swap. And it was jackpot. I won't lie, that is slightly annoying. So we will attack for 3. This will come to our hand. She will then be defeated by the consequential damage and the retaliate. B. he goes down to 3. We are going to spend everything this turn now, so we are going to spend, unfortunately, jackpot to put a pistol out, and we're going to spend the other pistol and the resource to put out the sharpshooter, so we're going to do it in that order. We are going to fire the pistol for 1 and then a second card to 3 damage. And then we are going to attack, oh sorry, 3 damage, knocks him out. Move on to stage 2, which we will go and get the side scheme. Test subjects. There it is. Comes in with 2 threats on it. He comes back in with 16, I believe. No, I was nearly doing myself out. He comes back in with 14. So we will thwart and remove 1 threat, and that will end our turn. So let's ready up, and let's draw up. So we are going to put 1 threat on. We will get a 3rd counter. That then removes the counters. So we are going to find a minion, which is a Berserk Mutate, which is painful, because that is going to quick strike us for 3. We will take so we take that. Zola is going to attack us. We need to defend this Berserk Mutate, so we're going to have to take his attack. He attacks for 1, plus we deal 1 damage to ourselves. Then we defend against the Berserk Mutate. We get our encounter card, which is, oh, not nice. He is now up to 5 hit points. And we get a second encounter card because of this one, which is a Zola's Mutate, which will find the top attachment, which is defensive programming, which will give it guard. Or at least it wasn't another quick strike. So we are gonna put White Fox on the top of the deck and draw the top card off the deck. We're going to fire the pistol at the Mutate, dealing 1, only 2 damage. Which is unfortunate. White Fox comes into play. We are going to spend 1 to do a clear the area, get rid of this side scheme, which gets us another minion. Which is a mutate, which quick strikes. So we have to throw White Fox in the way. And that will take White Fox out. It's a good job we hadn't used White Fox before that. So let's play Lucky Break. I think we're going to lose the main scheme no matter what. So we're going to put build support out. We're going to have to flip down. That was a rough turn. We suddenly got swamped, so we're going to add 1 on. We add a counter. Zola scheme for 2 plus 2, which is then going to flip this. Comes back in with 1 threat on it. That's going to go. That's going to go. We lose the counter. So we have to reveal another minion. So it's going to have to be Ultimate Bioservant. Which will come in with Tough. So then they scheme for 1, 2, 3, 4. So already we're well over what we want to be on. We then get our encounter card, which is going to be another Ultimate Bioservant. So, ooh. So if we can't kill this turn and we have a guard, then I think that's it, we're done. So I'm going to spend 1 to put Pip the Pug in. Let's at least have a go down swinging. Pip the Pug is going to put Jackpot on top of the deck. We are going to flip up. Oh. Yeah. So we are going to spend 1 to do Lucky Break. Sorry, not Lucky Break, Luck. Luck Be a Lady, which we know is all 3. So we are going to deal 3 damage to him because it's not an attack, so it gets around guard. We are going to remove 2 threat. And we're going to heal 2 damage. That one's going to go away. We are going to shuffle in. We are going to attack. It's going to have to be the guard. 3. Four. 5, 6 will hit the guard. We can clear the area, which won't even remove any threat. Oh, won't remove the last threat. And that is going to be it. We're going to go into the villain phase. And if the villain doesn't kill us, his army of minions are. So, not the result I wanted to show off this deck. Zola is still a fun and challenging villain, but it was a clean play. There weren't too many mistakes, so I am still going to post this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching. Until next time, happy gaming.